Furnishings for legal access provided by 501 Furniture.
Welcome to another edition of Legal Access. I'm Dave Priest. We get together each and every Thursday from 12 to 12:30 to give you an opportunity to ask your questions that you've always wanted to get the answers to about various different topics of the law. Today we're going to be talking about juvenile crime and punishment. If you've got kids that you've been a little bit worried about, if maybe you've got a kid in the juvenile system, whatever the case may be, maybe you've got friends, family, whatever. We want to hear from you today. Phone lines are open for the next 30 minutes at 848-8080. That's 848-8080. Juvenile crime and punishment, that is going to be our topic here today. To answer your questions on my panel here today, first of all on my right, we have defense attorneys Kirk Truslow.
Hey, Dave.
And also Greg McCollum.
Hi, Dave.
And then on my left from the solicitor's office, Assistant Solicitor Mike Freeman's here.
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
Appreciate you being here today. So we've got both sides going to be represented, whether you want to know what's going on. But again, phone lines are open and waiting for your phone calls at 848-8080. That's 848-8080. I guess we'll start with you, Mike. Now, when you get somebody who comes into your office, a juvenile, and they've been charged with whatever crime, what's the process that you go through that determines your next step?
Typically, when a file hits the desk, we've got three choices. We can dismiss the charge, depending on what it is and what the facts are, or place them into a diversion program, and if they complete a diversion program successfully, we'll dismiss the charge then, or just go to court on the charge. So it's one of three initial choices.
Mm-hmm. And obviously a lot of it depends on whether or not they're repeat offenders, if that's the first time they've seen you.
Age, we typically deal with 12 to 16-year-olds. The charge itself, if it's a criminal charge, what are the facts there? Is it their first time? Do they have a criminal record? We also get an opportunity to look at the school records, find out what kind of people they are out in the community at school. Right. We take whatever information we get from the parents and we factor that in, and we go from there with that.
Now, from a defense side, Kurt and Greg, if you get somebody who comes to you, whether it's, well, most likely the parents with the individual who's charged, how do you proceed? Is it different than just an adult case, except for the fact that you've got a parent or guardian along with them?
Yeah, in my experience, it's much different. The way I proceed is different because I find the solicitor's office who prosecute the juvenile cases, Mike and Caroline, are very approachable in terms of what juvenile court should be, and it's not necessarily to find somebody guilty. In fact, you're not deemed guilty; you're deemed adjudicated delinquent, and it's a different system with the hopes of really rehabilitating a child. So I generally size up what's going on and meet with the prosecutors or communicate with them as soon as possible to see what's best for this child. Now, it's a fine line you walk as well because they are charged with a crime and the juvenile is your client. But at the same time, as Mike was saying, there are a number of ways, a lot of times things don't need to be prosecuted. And if we can make that case and we can agree upon that, it ends it like Mike said. At other times, if it appears something did happen, but you're generally dealing with a good kid with not a bad record, the diversion programs that they have set up there can be really good to get the child where he needs to be. So I think it moves a little quicker than adult cases for me.
Anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's just if the case comes to me or Kirk or someone like us, then one of the things that you have in that case is the family has resources. Right. They're going to have a home, they're going to have the resources and the ability if the kid needs treatment or counseling or whatever the person needs. That child is going to have a safe home, be clothed and fed. Whereas a lot of the kids or juveniles, the people that the solicitor's office is dealing with, that's a lot of the problem, is that they do not have a home or do not have a safe home, do not have any type of stability. They have a broken home, and that's part of the problem. And so in the cases that we deal with are usually very different from those.
Right. Well, going from what Greg's saying, as far as a lot of people that might not have a home or home life or any stability at home, I know you're not going to prosecute anybody differently based upon that fact, But do you try to help them out in other ways through the solicitor's office if they
Yeah.
don't have somebody to go to?
Absolutely. There's a whole lot of different things we can do, and you if there's something going on with the parents and you're concerned about how they're raising the kids, then we will bring DSS in on it just as much. We'll still deal with whatever the charge is that the child has, but you know, there are times when we have to ask for DSS investigations, or where we have to ask that the parent be charged with sometimes contributing to delinquency of a minor. I mean, it's not uncommon for us to have a case come in where a parent and a child were arrested at the same time for shoplifting together.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got a shoplifting charge on the child, and obviously a shoplifting charge on the parent. But I would also say that anytime that happens, there should also be a charge against the parent for contributing to delinquency of a minor,
Sure.
because that's what they've done.
Right.
Yeah.
848-8080 is our phone number, 848-8080. I want to hear from you if you've got any questions. Juvenile crime and punishment, that is our topic here today. One of the things that Kirk mentioned, Mike, is diversion programs. And I know a lot of people in the lay community will talk about, well, you know, if you're a kid, you might be able to ask for the Youthful Offender Act. But a youthful offender is not just for what you were talking about, 12 to 16. You can go up into your mid-20s on that. Diversion programs, if somebody gets into a diversion program, is that kind of like a scared straight, or what is that like here?
We have different ones. The Youthful Offender Act applies to young adult criminals, so 17 to 25 maybe. What we deal with, again, is 12 to 16-year-olds. And we will try to put them in a diversion program before we take them to court, and we'll give them the opportunity to complete the diversion program. One of our diversion programs does have a jail tour out at J. Reuben Long. It's a $30 fee for that program. You also have to write a letter of apology to whoever your victim was, or you know, if you've got a crime that there was no victim, then such as a public disorderly charge, you need to probably write a letter of apology to the police force and the parents for, you know, disrupting their lives. Then you do a jail tour, and if you do have a victim and you owe them any money because you stole something that belonged to them or damaged something of theirs, then you pay that. And that's a fairly easy program to get through. The most, I think, significant part of it is that afternoon at J. Reuben Long doing a tour there. And, you know, hopefully that will scare the kids straight, and they'll understand that, you know, there are serious consequences to their actions. But if they don't, if they get in more trouble after they've completed that program and that charge has been dismissed, then we have some other tougher programs that we can put them into. You know, there comes a point where you've done enough programs for us to know that these diversion programs just aren't working for you, and so we'll actually take you to court. And of course, depending on the nature of the charge, you know, if your first crime is a very serious crime, you're not going to get the opportunity at a diversion program. If your first crime is a drug crime, possession of marijuana or anything like that, I'm not going to put you in that, you know, lower level diversion program. I'm going to put you up into the toughest one we got, and you're going to be drug tested randomly and have to do counseling and have to do a lot of community service and things like that. And if you complete that diversion program, but you get in trouble again, then the next time you're looking at going to court, because although you've only done one diversion program and we may have others there, you did the toughest one we've got. You've done the highest level diversion program we've got, and if that didn't work, then you need to go to court.
We're talking about juvenile crime and punishment here today. If you'd like to give us a call, please feel free to do so at 848-8080. Going to take a quick little break right now, and when we come back, want to take your phone calls, and we'll talk more over the next 20-25 minutes about our topic today. Want to get your phone calls, though. Juvenile crime and punishment, that's our topic today on Legal Access. Welcome back. It is Legal Access. We do it Thursdays, every Thursday from noon to 12:30. 30 minutes, your window into the world of law. Today we're talking about juvenile punishment and crimes. If you have any questions about that, if you've got any kids that you're worried about, want to maybe know what kind of programs they could get into, if you have questions about it, now's your time to call, 848-8080. Got a couple of people on the line right now, but would love to talk to you. Let's go to Conway first off. Janice is with us. Hi, Janice. Thanks for hanging on. What's your question?
Some of the kids at school are doing online bullying and also posting nude pictures. Is this a crime, and if so, how is it punishable?
There's a lot of aspects to that between online bullying, child pornography. It kind of comes into play, guys.
Well, as far as the bullying goes, I don't think there's a specific law called bullying, but it would fall under harassment statutes. And there certainly are those, especially when you communicate them through an electronic device. We do have that charge come in quite often, and we deal with it. As far as the nudity, it's disseminating pornography. Basically, there is a charge for that. If you take a picture of yourself and send it to someone, then that's disseminating pornography. If you come across a picture of someone else and you send it to someone else, that's disseminating pornography. So yes, we do have charges to cover both of those things. As far as how they're handled, what we do is we take into account the actual facts of the charge, what the threats were, as far as the harassing and the bullying type stuff goes. We look at the child's criminal record. Have they been in trouble before? We look at the school records, just like we would with any other charge, and we decide, is this something that needs to be dismissed with a warning, or is this something that needs to go into a diversion program, or is this something that needs to go to court?
And you're talking about underage children posting nude photos and all.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of different statutes, and they each deal with a different age limit and that kind of thing. So what you do is you look at the age of the participants, and
because a picture of a nude adult woman would not necessarily be pornography, but in terms of she's explaining it, yes. Or God forbid, somebody is viewing an underage child, you get a whole different situation then you're going to wind up in federal court facing a whole lot of time.
Exactly. Well, what we do see a lot, though, I think, and I'm not sure about the adults versus kids, but I would venture to say that we're seeing a lot more dissemination of pornographic type material charges against kids than against the adults, because the kids are the ones now who all have the nice iPhones that their parents have bought for them, and they're the ones who know the apps better than us adults who haven't messed with technology in forever. And they use it, and as soon as everybody gets smart to one app, they'll just download another one and do it there.
Yeah, and Janice, if the person that you know is underage, like Mike is saying, even if they take a picture of themselves and send it freely to somebody else, they can be charged with child pornography, even though it's a picture of themselves that they're sending. So, I mean, that's what you have to watch out. And we've learned that, stuff like Snapchat does not go away after 7 seconds. It's kind of kept around and might be on the cloud forever. So it's a kind of serious thing to keep in mind, although a lot of kids these days think it's nothing to take too seriously.
Yeah. The days of a Playboy magazine shared throughout the neighborhood are over. Technology has gone for good things and bad things, and of course, it's limitless now how it's being used, and it's being used improperly in a lot of ways with these Snapchats. And
so you were that guy back
lead.
in high school?
It wasn't my magazine, no.
Just curious. 848-8080 is the phone number here. That's what we're talking about. It was all of our dads, okay? Yeah. Nikki is in Surfside Beach. Nikki, hi, thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hi, go ahead. What's your question?
I need to find out from the solicitor's office, are there any programs in Horry County that 14-year-old males could be sent to before they get in the DJJ system?
Yeah, that's a good question. Whenever a charge comes into our office, then it is automatically shared with DJJ, and they work with us on the file. If you've got concerns about your child before they get a charge, you can go to DJJ yourself, and they will help you. They'll give you resources that are available. They might set you up with referrals to Waccamaw Mental Health if you've got concerns with ADHD or things like that, oppositional defiance disorder, and they'll set you up with counseling as far as that stuff goes. And they've got a number of other things that they can help you out with. And the difference is if DJJ gets a file on a child first, they don't have to share it with the solicitor's office because there's no crime there for us to prosecute at that point. So you can just get the help without having the heartache of having a charge against you. But if you wait until the kid gets a charge, then it's going to be my office and DJJ involved at the same time.
And good for you, Nikki, for being proactive. That's something that a lot of parents actually, if more proactive like you, then we wouldn't have. You might have a little, less of a workload.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have a local DJJ office. It's in Conway. It's located in the old courthouse, and people walk in as a cold call all the time with their kids asking for help. So.
Excellent. And if we get a chance, does that answer your question, Nikki?
Yes, it does, and thank you for the help. I'll go to the DJJ office and try to get some help for him.
All right. Thanks so much for calling. Appreciate it. We've got more to talk about on that if we get to it. We've got a few more phone calls to get to, though, as well. 848-8080 is the phone number if you'd like to talk about juvenile crime and punishment. That's our topic today. Let's go to Myrtle Beach now. Linda's on with us. Hi, Linda. Go ahead.
Hi, I have a 14-year-old niece that went shopping with some friends of hers, and two of the friends shoplifted. My niece and the other juvenile did not, yet all four of them were charged under the hand of one is the hand of all. Could you explain that to me, please?
But it's two laws that kind of come into play there, and Craig and you guys could help me out if I'm wrong, but basically the hand of one is the hand of all. If you're with someone and you know what they're doing and you know they're committing a crime and you're taking part in it, either by you knew they were doing it and you went with them to do it, or you leave the area with them, you pass the pay. In shoplifting, it's the case of shoplifting, it's passing the points of payment. Then yeah, you're going to be looked at as far as your participation in that crime as well. If you're going to be sharing the stuff they took and things like that. But then there's also the defense of mere presence, and if you're just merely present with someone, you have to
What
look
happened
at
in this case?
you have to look at what was that person's knowledge of it and things along those lines. But since that would be a defense to the hand of one, hand of all, I'll let these guys address how they would handle that.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mike. If you're merely present when a crime is committed, even if you know it's being committed, if you're merely present, you're not guilty of that. If you're present and you're aiding and abetting, in other words, you're helping, you could be acting as a lookout, you could be assisting in some way, distracting someone in that kind of setting. So if you're present, aiding and abetting, you know what's going on, you're trying to help it be accomplished, then you could be found guilty under the theory the hand of one is the hand of all. If you